Hi, babes. I hope you are all having a wonderful day. As we continue with our talk on how to go from unmotivated to unstoppable, let me ask you some questions. Imagine it's Monday morning. The alarm goes off and you're like, bleh. Do you know how to get motivated at that moment? What's the first thought that comes to mind when you open your eyes? Always being motivated to achieve a goal is not easy. Sometimes there are days when you just want to lie down on the couch and detach from reality. Have these days ever happened to you? Sure does to me. Days when you become demotivated. So, how do you fight lack of motivation? On that note, let me share with you secret number three: activate your motivation molecule. Our guest had a very inspiring story about a time she needed the strength and motivation to carry on while also finding a cure for her son's illness. Along the way, she also found the true gift of understanding the importance and values of life without necessarily going through the immense pain that the disease brought to their lives. It is with love and honor to introduce our guest today, my sister from another mother, Dr. Annabelle Manalo-Morgan. She balances life as a scientist, educator, author, and mother of five. Yes, you heard that right. Dr. Annabelle has a doctorate in cell and development biology from Vanderbilt University. In 2016, Dr. Annabelle saved her own son's life using a cannabinoid formulation, excuse the pronunciation, that she created and now pursues the possibilities of implementing cannabis and or plant compounds into current modern science and modern medicine. She served as Tikom Ulam USA's chief scientific officer and started her own company, Masaya Medical Incorporated, in 2019. She is on the board of directors and the lead scientific officer of Nasdaq Corporation Flora Growth. So let me go jump into the question. But first, hi Annabelle. Good morning to you. Is it morning there? No, it's afternoon here in Switzerland. How are
It
you?
is 10 o'clock in the morning on Monday morning. Good
So
morning.
yeah, as we discussed before, and to our audience as well, just to let them know, I'm kind of today totally out of myself. But yeah, I'm so excited to have you here. Because this topic is really something that everybody can relate, especially after this 2 years of lockdown, right? A lot of people are uninspired and motivated.
That's
And
right.
that being said, I'm gonna go directly to the question. So we have a few questions here, 7 questions, and of course you feel free to add some more things that you think would be helpful for our audience. So allow me to tackle question number one. Tell us briefly how you're able to manage your energy from being a scientist, educator, author, and a mother of five.
Well, it's not easy. If anyone tells you it's easy, they're lying. But, I'd say the number one thing that I just make sure I do is to stay positive. Especially being a mom, you have people relying on you. And just being a woman, you have people relying on you as an example in whatever industry you're in.
Mhm.
So staying positive, nothing ever ends up going as planned as my day goes. Like I could sit here and every hour of every day say I'm going to do this at 9 and do this at 10 and it never goes as planned and to just keep a positive mindset as you go through your day and to be present with all the individual things that you have going. So as a mom, be present as a mom. Don't let somebody at work that bothered you bother your relationship with your kids and your family. Be present for me as a scientist. Don't let bad things at home affect what I'm doing as a scientist. So just being positive and present in every moment is really my secret formula.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned that, especially as a scientist, if you are doing some experiments, you can't definitely allow that, right? Otherwise, it could lead to serious repercussions. I can imagine.
Of course, I don't want to blow anything up, right? So don't add fuel to the fire.
So, so yeah, I mean, yeah, I know how it feels because we're kind of the same. Plus, we travel a lot, so
That's
yeah,
right.
it's not actually that the amount is not amount of time. So people say, right, like, oh, you're a mom and you're flying a lot. Like you're a mother of five. I mean, I'm having two. I'm already having a hard time. That's why I know it's hard, but I can imagine it's harder in a way because there's five, and we have only limited free time. But then again, it's a quality of time, right? It's not the
That's
quantity
right.
that we use for them. So being able to do all this requires a lot of energy, as we know, and effort, obviously. Can you
Yes.
share
Yeah.
your daily routine and how do you stay motivated? I mean, again, knowing that it's not easy, right? So how do you do that?
Well, I'll tell you my
You're
planned daily routine, but of
yeah.
course it doesn't always work out that way. But having a plan and trying your best to
Yeah.
get to that plan is very important. So I will say that I do practice conscious beauty, and I have to say that while I'm on the line with the founder of Demois, my favorite face elixir, honestly. It really just gets me through my day and is better than anything I've ever tried. So thank you for that. Because you know me, I hate makeup and I just like to go, and it's simple, it's easy, it smells great. I mean, it doesn't even smell nice. And so I have to add that in because it's really been such an enhancement for me in my life and making me feel fresh when I get up in the morning. So again, thank you for that. But I try to get up a little bit earlier every morning and get a workout in, whether it's a quick stretch or whether it's getting on a bike. I try to do that for myself because it just makes me feel like I did something for myself.
Mhm,
I
mhm,
have to have my coffee. And again, that's something I have to have for myself. I think we should
mhm,
wake up, and whether it's to say a prayer or whether it's to
mhm.
give yourself a workout or read an excerpt from a book, you have to give to yourself because all throughout the day, you're doing things for others, especially
Yes.
as a mom. You're preparing the kids for school, you're going to meetings, you're taking care of your husband, your dog, whatever. You're
Everyone. Yeah.
constantly doing things for others. So making sure that you wake up in the morning, and whether it's 2 minutes to give yourself something, give yourself that. And make sure you get some exercise in there. I don't care if you're an athlete or not. I mean, get your heart rate up, get yourself going. It gives you energy to exercise. So that should always be a part of your daily routine, whether it's in the middle of the day or if it's before you go to bed. It's got to be a part of your routine. And I love writing down things. I think it helps me stay super balanced. So I always kind of have a list that I create the night before. And honestly, I get through a quarter of that list every day, but it is part of my routine is just to have that list. I don't want to have to remember things that I don't have to. So just have it on down on your list. And like I said in your first question, stay positive. I mean,
Yeah.
like waking up every day is a gift in itself.
Yes.
Being able to move around, being able to have a job and have the things that we have, those are gifts within itself that not everybody has. And so staying positive no matter what the day brings is really got to be the forefront of your entire day.
Yeah, I love what you said. I mean, this is the core thing of what I do anyway. That's the reason, in fact, why we're doing this talk. It's because we want to remind people that our greatest asset is ourselves, right? So it's good that you start with that. With you start answering that way. I mean, you practice self care, and exercise is a way to actually gain more energy. That's something you have to do. So anyway, so in 2016, you were forced to navigate every mother's worst nightmare, the birth
Yes.
of a sick child. Can you tell us more what happened during that time?
Yeah. So, as you know, Macario is his name. He was born 2016, and he had a stroke at birth, and he was having uncontrollable seizures, 200 to 500 seizures a day. So that was the start of a nightmare. Honestly, we were in the ICU trying every different drug regimen, and I really trusted these doctors. I mean, this is where I worked too. So
Yeah.
I stepped away from being a scientist, and I was just a mom, a very concerned mom. It was a very helpless moment
Mhm.
in our lives. And when he turned 5 weeks old, none of the medicine would work, and they did an emergency surgery to remove 40% of his brain. So
Mhm.
Macario is pretty much missing 40% of his left brain. So
Mhm.
predicted to never use the right side of his body, predicted to just be very abnormal, only eat out of a tube for his whole life. So can you imagine as a Filipino not eating rice?
Oh no.
Um, j- just to add that in there. But in all seriousness, it was a very difficult time. The surgery was 9 hours long. He was only 28 days old, and the surgery was on my dad's birthday. So it was just a really difficult time for us as a family. And of course, navigating having other children at home and trying to keep it normal for them. So, do you want me to get into the good part of it, or?
I have a question that leads to that. Hold on. Yeah, this is part of the what part of what we said about having it not easy. But yeah.
No, and going.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, that's really. I mean, my God, I can't imagine being in your place. I mean, I even used to cry when my son has a fever. You know what I mean? But
Yes.
that being said, you were given a very disheartening or like disheartening like prognosis. What is prognosis? Is it the right word? And
Yeah.
and you happen to not. I mean, you were not happy with how things are, and you were like, you ask yourself, you feel like, you know what, this I should do something about this, right? I mean, you were not happy with how things, obviously not because you blame them, but because of the situation. And yeah, you were not happy with the potential thing that could happen to Macario. So you were forced to do something about it.
That's
um,
right.
tell us, not tell me, tell us, what did you do? I mean, you veered away from the traditional medicine into
Yes.
something that you want to tell us now. I'd rather not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, you know, so I guess I've said in the past that I was unsatisfied with traditional medicine. So after his surgery, he was still on a lot of medications. And it's not that I was unsatisfied. I wanted something more. I wanted to see my son develop. I didn't expect him to develop normally. I just really wanted to see him, have some kind of quality of life. Being a scientist, I started to look at different alternatives and really did my reading. And I kept seeing cannabis pop up, and not cannabis, but the compound CBD or cannabidiol. Um, and I wasn't interested because maybe I was stuck to the same stigma that everyone else is. But when you're a desperate mom, you're looking for any option. And what I was reading was really positive. I kept seeing that there could potentially be something with this compound that could enhance his development and that could keep these seizures from coming back. So, what I did was I formulated him a medicine that's called Masaya today. But of course, at that time, it wasn't called anything. I just formulated him a medicine, started to give it to Macario, and I immediately started seeing him flourish about 2 days after starting to giving it to him. So he's a gift. He can do everything today that he is predicted not to be able to do, but not only predicted not to be able to do, he's missing parts of his brain that are responsible for actions that he can do today. So Macario is 7 years old. He's in the first grade and he goes to school with all the normal kids, and he is a normal kid. And you would never know if you met him that he is missing 40% of his brain.
Yeah, wow. Like, I know when you told me the story, I just can't help but be amazed. Like, I mean, it's a miracle in itself. Thanks to you, of course. And therefore, I'm happy that you actually published this book that you can tell us about that later, by the way. And plus, you pursued the promotion of actually exploring to further develop this area of medicine. So yeah, I'm gonna go again. Like I wanna because I want us to focus on the whole point of this conversation. Our identity dictates our thoughts, behaviors, and actions, and either sets us up for success or primes us for failure at
Mm.
both conscious and subconscious level. So they're wise. They're the wise in everything that we do. Can you tell us how do you reflect on your goals?
I mean, no road is straight.
Yeah.
And so, when I look at what I set out to do when leaving Canada, I grew up in Canada, and I came to the United States to play basketball. So obviously, I'm not a basketball player. Having a family was not, in my goals or dreams, and being
Mm-hmm.
a doctor was not a dream of mine. And so it was that journey, though, that allowed me to be able to adapt and be successful in what I am today. So when I reflect on those goals, they were necessary. It was necessary to have the drive towards those passions, because even though I am not a basketball player, I have the tools to be a really successful scientist and mom and somebody that can multitask and do so many things at once. I developed that drive through playing basketball. I developed that drive through going after those goals, even though they're completely different fields. So when I reflect, I'm just grateful that I'm able to see the diversity of how one thing relates to another.
Yeah, I have this saying that I think all of us are born for obviously for a reason, right? That our purpose and talent is tied to our purpose and also circumstances. And sometimes, if we don't realize our purpose ourselves, sometimes circumstances will push us to actually realize it. And in your case,
Mm,
it's kind of like that, from
yes.
the way I understand. And
Yes.
you're actually meant to do this. I mean, oh, of course, except for the painful part. But then look at what's happening now. I mean, you know, maybe I'm wrong. And maybe forgive me if it sounds a bit discounting the pain, but maybe you had to go through as a mom that way so you can actually create something that would help many others, many other
No, you're
kids.
not wrong. You're not wrong. And I'm convinced that the tragedy, turned out to be an incredible
Yes.
success. And if I
Yes.
hadn't gone through this tragedy, I wouldn't know my purpose. And so I think just dialing back to the model that we are speaking about today, where how do you find motivation? It's hardest to find motivation when you are in a state of discomfort. It's hard to find your motivation when you are in an unhappy place. But understanding and maybe seeing people that have gone through tragedy and created something great out of it can give you the motivation to know, man, it's not that bad. I'm still here. If I just get through this, something that is unplanned. I mean, that's when it's usually the best. When
Yes.
it's that unplanned greatness, that's when it comes about. We have to go through these tragedies sometimes, no matter how much it hurts, no matter how much pain it brings in. You can't see. I mean, when I was in that state, when it was me and Gramps, my husband, when we were in the hospital, the outside world was oblivious to us. Like, you cannot see outside of what's going on in that hospital room. And so we definitely didn't predict this future. We definitely didn't predict being having a healthy son that we can drop off at school every day and not worry about, right? But at that time of that tragedy, you know, it was day by day. You just have to get through it. You have to stay positive, and you have to trust. A big thing as a woman, especially, you have to trust your instincts. you know you can't always rely on your own understanding, and you have to trust the way you feel. And I think that that's a big one as well.
Yes. I can imagine. So yeah, I mean, in a way, you're saying that people could basically achieve more if they have also like the energy, the drive, and focus, right? Or if they go beyond, seeing beyond their current situation. Like for me, one can never grow from a place of comfort. It's always when we are challenged in life that we think of finding ways how to either overcome or do better.
That's
So
right.
In that case, I mean, how do you stay at the top of your game? And then please tell us, so we can just go direct then, and then tell us please on how, I mean, tell us about your book, The Mighty Flower, to the
Sure.
institutions. So first, tell us how to stay on top of your game, and then it would be great to hear about The Mighty Flower.
I mean, again, like I'm staying on top of my game by just staying positive. No day is the same for me. Every day I have so many people relying on me, on top of my kids. And sometimes I want to go lie on a beach and just,
I know.
turn all my phones off and live that life. And I do sometimes. I do that
Yes, I do.
sometimes.
I mean, yeah, I'm happy actually.
Yeah.
I'm trying to tell you all the time, like, please make time. You know,
I know. I owe you a trip so that you can pamper me and spoil me
eat.
in your homeland and eat because all
Yeah.
you want to do is eat. So even more
Yes.
so, make sure you work out. So I always like to go back to the way I grew up and obviously grew up in a Filipino home with family all around me all the time and eating a lot of food. But I was an athlete. And so, in order for me to stay on top of my game,
Mhm.
I have to give myself those workouts. Like, I have to be able to enjoy my kids playing sports because it really is my peace.
Mhm.
That's what is my peace. We just came back late last night from BJ's basketball tournament. That just gave
Yeah.
me such a release, that is my peace. And since all of this happened with Macario, I haven't known, like, where is my place? I have a mission, I don't wanna just sit in the lab all day. I don't wanna work for big pharma only or
Mhm.
not give to the holistic community. I kind
Mhm.
of want to bridge a lot of gaps. So where is my place? And so I wrote the book Mighty Flower so that I could put it on paper and talk about it. Talk
Mhm.
about my journey, talk about Macario's story, talk
Mhm.
about the history of cannabis, talk
Mhm.
about where medicine should go. Like, is this story this story is not the only story like this. I mean, it's a amazing story,
Mhm.
but there are a lot of phenomenal stories where people go to an alternative route to see their health get changed. And so I just wanted to kind of throw it out there and put it in a book. And I published with Forbes Books because I wanted people that would not normally look at cannabis as a medicine to educate themselves and read about it.
Mhm.
And so that's why I wrote the book is to kind of have a platform to establish myself as a thought leader and someone that thinks outside of the box in the way we take care of ourselves and the way we approach medicine.
Mhm.
Um, because medicine is not done in only one way. If you think about Eastern medicine and Western medicine, they're very different. If you
Mhm.
think about the way medicine was done with Native Indians or the ancient Egyptians, it's
Mhm.
very different. But does that mean that we have to have a divide, or can we all have a neutral mindset and use pieces from all those different ways, put them together to make the best possible choice of medicine for individual people? Because we're all different, right, Demi? So if you have diabetes and I have diabetes, we are not necessarily supposed to be taking the same medicine
Yes. Yes,
because we're
indeed.
different, right?
Yes.
And so we have to get away from that mentality of putting things and categorizing things in a box. When you talk about conscious beauty,
Mhm.
it doesn't mean beauty only from the Philippines, products only. It doesn't even mean that. It's about relating to your own skin,
Yes.
right? And being conscious about self and yourself
Yes.
and what it takes for you. And being
Yes.
able to do that naturally, but still using science.
Yes.
I think that's where we align. And I think that that's, what you're doing in beauty is what I'm definitely trying to do in medicine.
Yeah, I love that you say that because there's a lot of confusion, right? When we talk about beauty, immediately people think, oh, vanity or bad or shallow. The same with cannabis, for example. Oh, it's drugs. Because in fact, people are just so close-minded and they have been conditioned to believe that way for a while now because certain cultures again, view certain things not in a good way, you know? So this is what we're trying to change now. At the end of the day, we want the same thing, right? We want to kind of like promote self-care and promote healthcare without any how do you call this, without any limits, and by using what nature offers to us.
Yes.
Of course, and of course, like, you know, confirming it with science, because that's also dangerous. And actually, you
Yes.
asked me my number seven. My question number seven is about that. You know, that you're
Okay.
traveling around the world now talking about this. But yeah, since we answered number seven, this is a good way to actually more delve, you know, deeper into the conversation. It's a beautiful way how you put this now together, how you actually connect the conscious beauty and what you're trying to do. And I understood, I understood what you were saying, but I never really saw the true. I mean, I didn't really see that connection, and now that's
Yeah.
here more than ever. Yeah, because going back, conscious beauty for me is called consciousness. That means it's up to you. It's not cookie cutter. Let's just put it that way. You
That's
know,
right. It's not black and white.
exactly. It's not, no, it's not like this cookie cutter thing. Oh, you have diabetes, you have to drink this. No, or you know, you want to go be beautiful, you have to look like a certain person. No. So yeah, I think that's a beautiful way of explaining it, and maybe we should not get hung up as well on the word cannabis alone, because, or maybe we have to define what that means even. You know, this is something that I had to address every day. Like, one thing, a certain thing could actually do damage if we want it to make that to do damage, but it can also do good. But it's up to us. You know, there's so many people saying, "Oh, money is bad," right? No, money does not move itself. Money is good if you use it for good, but if you use it to do
That's right.
bad things, it do bad things. Like a knife, you can either use it to cook a meal or kill someone. So yeah, sorry, extremes, but you know what I'm
Oh,
saying. You know what I'm saying. But yeah, I mean, I what I took from this conversation, and I hope our listeners will really, really like listen to you word by word, because I'm always fascinated by how eloquent and how sincere. And I know you talk from the heart. I've seen you speak many times. Your message is consistent, and it always touches everyone around that's listening. What I take is that in life, again, the most important thing from what I understood, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that first, you know, for you to be able to do good to others, you have to look after yourself and make sure that you find a habit that could actually help you, I don't know, recharge, have more energy. And you just shared how you have to have exercise, I mean, self care, exercise, and also sports, because it gives you that happiness. So yeah, this is for me important, because it's sometimes easy to get lost. There's so many motivational books, and there's so many do this and do that. This even self care for me. It's that's why I do conscious beauty, because I don't want to tell people exactly what to do. They need to find their peace. They need to find the things that makes them, you know, happy, and that's important in staying motivated. And also, of course, like, you know, seeing adversity as a blessing to maybe do something, to do better, or you know, I don't know, to discover new strength or talent. So on that note, I think that's it for today, babes, unless you have something to share to our audience. Last few words. Do you have
so
any
I'm
last?
just grateful for this connection, especially as a Filipino woman. I think, you know, usually I end with a message of positivity and a message of keeping a neutral mindset, which I think is clear. But I
Yes.
would like to, you know, give a shout out to my mom
Yeah.
because who you know to me, growing up as a young Filipino woman, I could always look to my mom as somebody that was so strong and that was doing so many things, and that was normal to me. And so understand who is looking at you every day and understand who you are motivating by your actions alone, the power in that. And if that's not motivation, then I don't know what is. But understanding that your actions in your everyday life, not what you say, but what you do, is a
Mm-hmm.
motivation for the young that are coming up after you. And for me, it's my daughter and my kids. And so who it is for you is very important to identify to make sure that, you know, you're living a life of purpose.
Yes. Well, thank you for that. I mean, I share the same thing. It's my first my kids, and then then the rest of the world. you know. So yes, babes. Remember, to listen, and please, you can even rewatch this over and over again because it's going to be published on YouTube. On that note, please subscribe on our YouTube channel, The Motivation by Dimi Koch, and like our page on Facebook, The Daily Dose of Vitamin D, and Instagram, Dimi That Official. So I wish you a lovely evening or morning, wherever you are. Be beautiful, be brave, and be unstoppable. Ciao, ciao.